Jeff Bezos is betting millions that you'll never own a home. Wall Street now controls more of the housing market than at any point in American history. Something massive is happening in real estate right now, and Jeff Bezos sees it coming. Through his investment company Bezos Expeditions, he's poured millions into a Seattle startup called Arrived that's fundamentally changing who gets to own American homes. They're marketing it as democratizing real estate with just a $100 minimum investment. Sounds great, right? But here's what they're not telling you. The company now has over 800,000 users controlling $212 million in assets across approximately 400 properties. That's nearly 1 million people who think they're building wealth through real estate, but are actually helping price out traditional home buyers from the market. And Bezos isn't alone. He invested alongside Mark Benioff from Salesforce, the former CEO of Zillow Spencer Rascoff, and Uber's CEO Dara Khosrowshahi. When billionaires pile into the same investment, they know something you don't. But here's what the data reveals about the real housing crisis brewing beneath the surface. Warren Buffett just deployed nearly $1 billion into home builders in 2025, $800 million into Lennar, and $203 million into D.R. Horton. This is the Oracle of Omaha we're talking about, the man who sat on cash through most of the pandemic. Now suddenly he's rushing into real estate? These aren't just any home builders either. D.R. Horton has already delivered over 14,000 build-to-rent homes and sold 4,000 homes to institutional investor Pretium Partners in a single $1.5 billion transaction last year. Think about that for a second. 4,000 homes that families could have bought, gone in one deal to Wall Street. And D.R. Horton has a $2 billion rental property inventory now, up from $760 million the previous year. Lennar partnered with Centerbridge Partners on a venture with over $4 billion in leverage capacity, specifically to buy homes and rent them back to the same families who can't afford to buy them. The numbers we're about to share will shock you, and they explain exactly why Bezos is making this play right now. As of Q2 2025, the median home price sits at $410,800 nationally. The typical family needs to spend 24.5% of their income just on mortgage payments, and that's if they can even qualify. With mortgage rates at 6.29%, the average monthly payment has hit $2,125. Cash buyers now represent 32.6% of all transactions, the highest level since 2014. Regular families with conventional mortgages are competing against people showing up with briefcases full of cash. And guess who wins that bidding war every single time? But wait, it gets worse. The price-to-income ratio nationally has ballooned to 5x, meaning homes cost 5 times the median household income. Back in 1985, that ratio was just 3.5x. In places like San Francisco, it's 11.3x. Los Angeles, 11.2x. Even with mortgage rates half of what they were in the 80s, homes are less affordable today than during the savings and loan crisis. Here's the controversial truth nobody wants to admit. We may have already seen the bottom of this market. Housing inventory is still 11 to 16% below pre-pandemic levels. Only 4 states, Colorado, Florida, Tennessee, and Texas, have more homes for sale than before COVID. Construction of new homes reached 1.45 million units, but we're still facing a shortage estimated between 4 and 6 million homes. When demand outstrips supply by that magnitude, prices have only one direction to go. And this is exactly what Bezos figured out. Through Arrived, he's not just investing in real estate, he's creating an army of micro-investors who each put in their $100 thinking they're getting rich, while collectively they're helping transform America from a nation of homeowners into a nation of renters. The platform charges a 3.5% sourcing fee, quarterly asset management fees up to 0.15% for single-family properties, and 8% of all rent collected. They're making money whether property values go up or down. The most insidious part? They're marketing this as solving the affordability crisis. Can't afford a $400,000 home? No problem. Invest $100 with us instead. But every property Arrived buys is one less home available for a family to purchase. They've already acquired about 400 properties worth $212 million. That's 400 families who will remain renters, paying increasingly higher rents to institutional owners. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you find this video interesting so far. Each like, subscribe, and share helps support this channel and keeps us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now, let's continue. We discovered something fascinating digging through the data that changes everything. Institutional investors, the big Wall Street firms, actually own less than 2% of all single-family homes. That's not the scary number. The scary number is that all investors combined own 26.1% of lower-priced homes, the exact homes first-time buyers need. In cities like Richmond, Virginia, institutional buyers grab 6.3% of all sales. In Kansas City, it's 11.2%. In some Cleveland neighborhoods, cash buyers, many of them investors, account for 40% of all purchases. These aren't random markets. These are carefully selected cities where the rent-to-price ratios make sense, where working families live, where a teacher or firefighter might have been able to buy a home 10 years ago. Now those homes are being packaged into investment vehicles for people who already own their homes to generate passive income from people who can't. Here's what Bezos knows that most people miss. The demographics are about to get even more favorable for this model. Millennials, the largest generation in American history, are entering their prime home buying years. But here's the data that proves they're locked out. First-time home buyers have dropped to just 24% of the market, the lowest level since tracking began in 1981. The median age of a home buyer has jumped to 56 years old. An entire generation locked out of home ownership. They have no choice but to rent. The build-to-rent market that barely existed 5 years ago, it's exploded. According to the National Rental Home Council, 27,500 build-to-rent homes were completed in 2023 alone. That's a verified 270% increase since 2019. Phoenix alone saw 4,030 build-to-rent units completed in 2023, up 164% year over year. Dallas added 2,694 units. Atlanta, 1,981. These aren't apartment complexes. These are single-family homes built specifically to be rented, never sold. Families will raise their children in these homes, thinking someday they might buy, not knowing these houses were never meant for them to own. And this is where this story takes an unexpected turn. While everyone's focused on Blackstone and BlackRock, the real action is happening with smaller players. Small investors owning 1 to 9 properties make up the majority of investor activity. This is where platforms like Arrived become dangerous. They're democratizing the investor side while keeping the ownership side exclusive. Now anyone with $100 can become a landlord, but fewer people can become homeowners. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's affordability index shows something disturbing. When they factor in principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and PMI, most major metros are now unaffordable for median income families. The West Coast shows affordability indexes at 71.2, meaning families need nearly 30% more income than they have just to qualify for a median-priced home. We need to share what's happening in the next 12 months that could change everything. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut rates, potentially bringing mortgages down towards 6%. Sounds like good news? Not quite. Remember, when rates drop, prices typically rise. The brief window when both rates and prices were favorable, that window is slamming shut. Warren Buffett's timing is impeccable as always. He bought into these home builders after they'd already corrected. D.R. Horton is up 26% since his investment. Lennar gained 36%. He's not betting on a housing crash. He's betting on the institutionalization of American housing. The mortgage delinquency rate sits at just 3.93%, below the historic average of 5.21%. Foreclosures remain near historic lows at 0.48% of all homes. There's no wave of distressed properties coming to save buyers. The people who own homes can afford them. It's the people trying to buy who can't. This creates a vicious cycle. High prices keep families renting. Renting prevents wealth building through equity. Lack of equity makes it harder to save for down payments. Higher rents make saving even harder. Meanwhile, investors use their existing equity to buy more properties, pushing prices higher still. Here's something that will blow your mind about market dynamics right now. Arrive's most recent data shows they're paying out $1.84 million in quarterly dividends to their investors. That's money flowing from renters to people who already have capital to invest. The platform has grown 19% quarter over quarter. Their revenue run rate hit $8.1 million annually. They're planning a secondary market where investors can trade their shares, making housing even more like a stock market commodity. The truth nobody wants to hear? If you're waiting for a crash to buy a home, you might be waiting forever. The structural shortage is too severe. The demographic demand is too strong. The institutional money is too committed. We've financialized shelter, turned it into an asset class, and there's no going back. Bezos sees this future clearly. In his typical fashion, he's not making speeches about it or writing op-eds. He's quietly positioning himself to profit from the transformation of American housing from a path to middle-class wealth into a subscription service. Just like Amazon Prime, but for the roof over your head. Regular families can't compete with Wall Street's algorithms that can evaluate and bid on properties in milliseconds. They can't compete with cash offers that close in 2 weeks. They can't compete with investors who see homes as yield-generating assets rather than places to raise children. The most damning statistic? The typical successful first-time buyer now has a household income of $97,000. That's what they actually earn, showing how far out of reach homeownership has become for average families. The median household income? $83,150. Do the math. The average American family literally cannot afford to buy their first home without extreme financial gymnastics or family help. So what's an average person supposed to do? That's the trillion-dollar question. Bezos and Buffett are betting you'll give up on ownership and accept perpetual renting. They're probably right. The game has changed, and most people don't even realize they're not playing anymore. They're just the game pieces being moved around the board. The real estate market isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for you. Every $100 invested and arrived, every build-to-rent community constructed, every institutional purchase is another brick in the wall between American families and the American dream. Bezos isn't just investing in real estate, he's investing in a future where you'll own nothing, rent everything, and somehow be convinced you're winning because your $100 investment paid a $1.50 dividend while your rent went up $200. Oh, goody. The bottom isn't coming. This might be the bottom. And if that's true, if prices only go up from here while wages stagnate and investors multiply, then we're witnessing the end of broad-based homeownership in America. Not with a crash, but with a whimper. One $100 investment at a time. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe, share, and watch this one as well.